Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. Yeah, I've been involved in Amazon for about 9 years now. I built my first brand, I think it was 2017 or 2018. I grew that to mid 7 figures and I exited that business during COVID. And since then, I've built 3 additional brands, including the one that's listed here. And they've all essentially followed the same playbook, going into large home goods categories and building out a premium product and a premium brand around it. The reason I like that strategy is because premium products are a growing niche on Amazon. And they have great margins. They also have really good growth opportunities because their products are in categories with massive TAM. So yeah, that's kind of my background and kind of general philosophy and strategy around selling on Amazon.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
I have a portfolio of 3 brands that I'm growing right now. And this brand is just the most mature of the 3, basically. Performing really well and it's cash flowing and it's still growing really, really quickly. So selling it is really just a capital allocation decision. The other 2 brands are at earlier stage and they're also growing really quickly. So the idea behind selling this brand is really just to deploy some capital into those other 2 growing brands and help accelerate their growth. But it's not a rush sale or anything like that. I'm totally comfortable continuing to hold on to this brand. But in the long run, I think it makes sense for my whole portfolio to reallocate some money from the sale of this business into those other businesses that are also growing really quickly in my portfolio.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
With this brand, there's not a lot of heavy lifting. Right now, I'm probably working around 5 hours a week on the business. And that's really focusing a lot on inventory forecasting and cash flow forecasting. Those are the 2 main things I really stay on top of, which is help keep this business running really smoothly. On top of that, I do all the customer service. There's no other employees. So I do the customer service, but there's essentially just a few emails a week there. And I also manage the PPC myself. But right now, the entire brand is running on auto campaigns. So it's a really simplified PPC strategy that doesn't take much time to maintain. But that's also an opportunity for someone that's more advanced PPC strategist or they have a PPC strategist on their team. This is an opportunity to kind of take the campaigns to the next level and that kind of stuff. But for me, because the category is so big and the brand's been growing so fast, I've been able just to deploy a really, really simple strategy of auto campaigns that have worked really well to this point.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
The first thing I would do would be to essentially just continue expanding the current product lines. So there's 4 main product lines or parent SKUs, and each of them have color variations. So essentially, just expanding the color variations is very, very low-hanging fruit that's very easy to do and has worked well when I've done it in the past. So that's definitely item number 1. Item number 2 is expanding the product line. There is the 4th product line or parent SKU that exists in the brand is pretty new. So working on growing that and potentially adding other product lines isn't a bad idea. It's fairly straightforward to do in the category. And then from there, working on optimizing the PPC a bit. As I mentioned before, it's all auto campaigns right now. So getting into some more advanced PPC strategies might be more efficient. Also might create some opportunities for better organic ranking, that kind of stuff. The other stuff I've looked into that I would probably start working on is getting into more like influencer, TikTok shop kind of stuff. I haven't done any of that yet, but that's a great opportunity. Same thing, like maybe other marketplaces as well. That would be further on down the road, Target Plus, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's lots and lots of low-hanging fruit in terms of just expanding the existing SKUs on the existing product line, new colors, adjacent products or bundles, things like that. So tons and tons of opportunities, enough to keep myself or the future owner busy for a couple of years.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
For me, I think the biggest risk is something that's been an ongoing thing that we've been dealing with over the last year or so, which is tariffs. But the good news about that is that we've been dealing with them for a year and the product has really good margins. So we've been able to pay those higher tariffs and still remain very profitable. I think about that, but like I say, the upside is that we've already been through it. We have great margins and we've been paying the tariffs, and our current profits reflect the fact that we're still profitable even with increased tariffs. And I guess the other bit of upside there is that tariffs could potentially go down. Not that I necessarily foresee that, but I don't really foresee them going up any further either. So that kind of regulatory stuff is probably what I worry about the most. In the past, during COVID, there was all those shipping issues, things like that had to be navigated with other brands. I don't really foresee any issues with that kind of stuff. But yeah, just general regulation I think about, but it's not a huge threat as it's already been navigated. In terms of Amazon fees and things like that, which a lot of people talk about, that really doesn't affect this brand as much because our price point is higher and our margins are higher. So, nominal changes in things like an FBA fee going up 30 or 40 cents doesn't really move the needle. It's pretty nominal for a brand like this. So yeah, I guess the big overall concern is just kind of tariffs and government regulation and things like that. But again, it's been navigated in the past and possible to navigate in the future moving forward.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
I'm willing to offer quite a bit of support. My ultimate goal is to see the brand, continue to be successful and continue to grow. So I'm happy to help with transition stuff and then onboarding, all the relationship stuff with the supplier. I'm happy to be involved with that as long as needed, assuming it's, reasonable requests from the future buyer and things like that. But my last exit, I stayed pretty involved for the first 3 months or so. They had lots of questions and we hopped on several calls and I was more than happy to do that. And then even for the first year, I would get occasional emails and I was always happy to help. And it'll be the same with this brand. Definitely want to see the brand do well, and I don't have an issue, helping out and being involved with the transition and that kind of stuff and answering ongoing questions.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
I'm open-minded and I'm definitely open to discussing different deal structures that would work with the needs of a potential buyer. I'd probably lean more towards seller financing than an earn-out. I just think seller financing is a little bit cleaner, but I'm open to different deal structures depending on the particular needs of the buyer. So I'm flexible and willing to discuss.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
I think the really good thing about this business is that it's a premium home essentials brand, which means that you've got great margins, you're in a massive category that has tons of potential for growth, and that you don't have tight margin squeeze. So little increases in fees and PPC costs or things like that aren't really going to affect you the way they are brands that have paper thin margins and ultra competitive categories. So I think that's really good. The other really interesting thing about this brand is that it has a really good brand story, partially because it's a veteran-owned brand, which is kind of something that's can't easily be recreated by any new brands that pop up. And that's something that's definitely transferable. In my previous exit, the new owners continued to market the brand as veteran founded. And I think that really puts you in a good, unique position as a premium, veteran-owned, high-quality brand operating in a really big TAM category. So I think it's a great business. I think it's a good opportunity for any potential buyers.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.